What's up, y'all? It's EKM. Welcome back to another podcast. Today we up at Augusta Skate Park. I had to pull up. We got another special guest here with me, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Skyler. I'm with Forsaken Skateboards. We're kind of based out of the Wichita area, more of the Augusta area, but we kind of service wherever. So
Yeah. Man, we were talking a little bit off camera about how you had like a part in getting the skate park built when you were a kid. How did you get into skateboarding?
my dad was a skateboarder.
Okay.
And so I've always kind of been around it, but I didn't really get into skateboarding until I was, I don't know, like 10 or 11,
Yeah.
kind of about the middle school age when I found some other guys that also like to skate.
Yeah.
So that's kind of really where it started. And then, growing up playing like Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah.
Watching X Games when I could. We didn't grow up a lot with like a lot of the internet. It really like YouTube wasn't a thing until I was a little bit older. So we didn't really get to watch all the videos that guys get to now.
Yeah,
so I was
for
really
sure.
just trying to figure it out. We didn't have a local skate shop. We didn't have a local skate park. We didn't have anything. It was all just ourselves,
Yeah, man. I've said this story a couple times on my podcast now, so if they listen a lot, y'all have heard it. But it's crazy. This all actually kind of started off this WichitaPromo thing because this tattoo here on my hand, DEP. I had a close homie named Dalton who he passed away when we were probably 18. But we were real tight back in like middle school, and we started hanging out, and I got into skateboarding also through like the Tony Hawk games. I was a kid playing those, and I got really into like Rodney Mullen videos and shit like that when I was real young. And I got Dalton into skateboarding, and he picked it up so much faster than me. He was so fucking good, and it used to blow my mind. And we actually started a little like fake skate company where we didn't know what we were doing. So we were going to the mall and like buying blank decks and painting them and shit and selling them to our homies and all that type of shit. And DEP was the brand. And when he passed away, I kind of got away from the skateboarding and shit. When I saw you guys were making your own boards, I was like, I got to tap in. This is like full circle.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's funny you say that. I did the same thing in high school. I ordered a bunch of blanks, like 10 or 20 blanks off of the internet. And I remember my mom was like, are you supposed to be buying shit off the internet? And I was like, I don't know, we're about to find out if it shows up.
Yeah.
And I hand painted them and just put some stuff out there and sold them to my friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, same shit, man. That's how this whole page started, was picking up a camera for that specifically. I remember I moved down to Florida with him when I was 18, like the day we turned 18, and we were probably down there for a few months before he ended up moving back and passing. But when we were down there, there's a YouTuber named Danny Duncan that used to skate. And I met him down there and gave him a board, and that was like a big moment of like, holy shit, we're really doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's interesting, bro. I didn't know how much there was into like actually making the boards. Like we weren't pressing boards or anything like that back then. We were just buying fucking blanks from somebody else. But what's the process like in getting that started up and actually making your Forsaken boards?
Yeah, so a lot of work.
Yeah.
You have to. It depends. So our boards are all made in the U.S. So that's like the biggest struggle to get anything going.
Yeah.
Because there's so many board companies out there, or manufacturers, I should say, that will print a board for you or press it for you, but their boards are like pressed in America or pressed into Mexico, and then they're printed in America. So they'll put the graphic on.
Okay.
And one of the biggest things for me was making sure like our products are made in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's where it started, and then everybody kind of moved to Mexico or China.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest struggle, is finding the company you want to work with. And then you have to have like a minimum order quantity. So like the smaller wood shops will work with you like 50 or 100 decks per order.
Yeah.
And then that it can vary depending on who you work with. If you got like, somebody that will work with you, like there's a company down in Oklahoma City, board supply company. They're really good dudes. They will print the boards for you, and so they're kind of relatively regionally local, and they'll help you out. They'll do like low minimum order quantities for you. But then, graphics, you have to make sure. I had to get a graphic designer to make the board. I told him what I wanted, and he was a local guy. I went to high school with him.
Yeah.
And he, I told him what I wanted, and he just did all the research, printed it up for me, and then sent me the graphics. I sent it to my manufacturer, and then he asked me what shape I wanted, and I was like, dude, I don't know, normal shape though. Like you got so many, because he has them all. Like he sent me a spreadsheet of like all the different sizes. I'm like, dude, on this graphic, I can't tell you what the difference is. Just give me a normal popsicle shape, and we'll try those, and it works out great.
Yeah, hell yeah. I think like if you don't skate too, you might not know, but like there's different sizes of boards and shit too. So I'm sure that all adds into it. Like you have to order, however many of each size and all that type of shit.
Yeah. So usually with at least my manufacturer, it's per graphic. So you can have whatever size, as many of them as you want across, different sizes.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you switch up the graphic, you have to start all over.
Yeah.
So if it's like 50 or 100 per graphic. So
Yeah.
if you do 108s or whatever, and you want to do a bunch of other things, graphic wise, you have to start all over, do 100 of those.
Shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets
for sure.
expensive.
How did you come up with the name Forsaken and the graphic design that you wanted?
So, really where it started was there's not a lot of, I guess I'll take it back a little bit. So I stopped skating when I was like 18. Life happened, and I had to go to work and do stuff like that. And I kind of got out of it, got into some other hobbies. And one of the hobbies I got into was like, I guess you call it like the preparedness community or like shooting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of my buddies are like military guys, and they were like, "Oh, I used to skate. Like, we should go skate sometime," kind of thing. But there really wasn't any brands that kind of matched our values or like I guess you could say our vibe.
Yeah.
And it kind of joked around about it a little bit, and I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I want to start a board company, but like I want it to be meaningful. I want it to like represent something, because every brand kind of has their own I don't know, theme, I guess you say, or vibe, or like kind of what they represent.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really
sure.
anything out there that matched what we were doing, or what we wanted rather. And so Forsaken means abandoned, left behind, kind of forgotten about. And so there's a lot of dudes like me that skate or used to skate or get back into skating, and the industry kind of forgot about us. They don't really like represent us the same way that they do others. And then also growing up in rural America, we didn't have a skate shop. We didn't have the big names coming through and putting on demos and doing all that stuff. So the industry also forgot about us as a whole, just because of where we live geographically.
Yeah.
And so,
that's real.
kind of those two things is really what it came down to. The graphic wise, the snake is it pays homage to the Gadsden flag, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's kind of the sign of rebellion, which a lot of skateboarders can agree with. Is like, hey, don't fuck with me, leave me alone, and let me do my thing. And so that's kind of where that comes to as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's a dope logo, man. Like it's got a look to it that you guys even have a T-shirt, and I was like, man, I'll rock this in a music video. Like something about the look of it. It's really dope.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's a cool graphic.
Jake Swink Designs or JS Designs or something like that on Instagram. He's a good dude. He's local. He's out of Wichita. Hit him up if you need anything. He's on some of my posts, and I try to tag him whenever I have something like this going on.
Yeah, for sure. What's so I know like I'm not like a political dude. I don't pay attention to shit, honestly, but I know the like tariff shit has been going on. Did that like increase the prices of boards and shit? Because you were saying I know a lot are made out of the country.
So I have a grip distributor, and so they also sell boards and trucks and wheels, and so like that's where I get my stuff that I don't make.
Okay.
And they sent out an email saying that, hey, with these tariffs, because a lot of their boards are made in China that they resell or distribute, I guess, and they said that it was going to be a certain price, like 10% or whatever the tariff is.
Yeah.
And so they did see an increase. Damn. They went from, I think it was like $5 or $7 increase on the wholesale side, and so then that obviously goes to the consumer. At the skate shop, they have to pay more for it, so then they have to charge more, unless the skate shop eats it. But a lot of skate shops can't do that, especially on a $5 to $10 increase, especially when boards right now are on the wall like $75. $80, and
that's just expensive.
Some of them even more. Like I know the Andy Anderson decks are like I think over $100.
Fuck.
And they're good boards. They're great boards. But when you got a board that was you're buying it for $30-$40, and then you're trying to resell it, and they increase that cost. And but because our boards are made in the U.S., we don't have to deal with that. Our trees that we cut down, or I guess the manufacturer cuts down, they're in Wisconsin and Ohio and a little bit in Pennsylvania. The boards are pressed in Pennsylvania. So everything's right here in the U.S., so we don't have to worry about the tariffs.
Yeah, that's fire. I remember being a skater when I was a teenager. Like, it's low-key a very expensive fucking hobby to get into, bro. People don't realize that shit. Like, I remember my mom being pissed when I was a kid because she would buy me, like, a Walmart board, and I'd bitch about it. Like, this thing sucks. And then she'd take me to, like, a skate shop, or back in the day when we were teenagers, there wasn't too many, so it'd be, like, Zoomies. And we'd walk in, and the full setups are, like, $200. She would never want to buy me that shit. Is it? I get it. That shit's expensive.
It really does suck. And that's one thing with our boards is I I try to run sales. I try to help the local dudes out to save on shipping because we are online based. I mean, we have our boards in kerosene and street skins.
Yeah, that's
but
fire.
You know, the thing I really wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to get our board. You know, so that's why I had the online shop instead of just strictly working with the skate shops. Because growing up, my mom, she living out here, she didn't want to go to Wichita and then buy me an expensive ass board.
Yeah.
But it might have been a little bit different if we could order it online. And back then, you could get like the CCS mags and do that. But my mom, that wasn't happening for me. So just thinking back about like what would a kid want that if I was growing up right now, living here where there's no skate shop to get anything, and living in the summertime where your parents are at work and you're just running amok,
Yeah, for sure. $50 is too, like that's a very solid, fair price for a deck right now.
Yeah. We try to do regular price is $60, and then $50 on sale right now. I'm just trying to get new graphics out there.
$60 is what I was paying back like probably over 10 years ago when I was buying boards. Shit's definitely went up.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, a lot of companies, a lot of the big names, when COVID happened, they saw an opportunity to increase the cost. Maybe it's valid, maybe it's not, but they had an opportunity and they took it. And I did see like a little write-up article about it, and somebody said that the price of boards hadn't changed since like the early 2000s or something, and so it was time for change. But when they're buying in by the thousand, they're buying their decks, for like less than $20 a pop. And so then, your fees and your labor and all that stuff goes into it. But, I looked at that and I see how much my boards cost to make. And I was like, dude, I can make decent money off of it and, put more into the community and do events and everything and still have a little bit left over. And not charge an arm and a leg for this. And that was my biggest thing. It's like, dude, we're all like struggling. Most skaters are younger dudes and they're not full-fledged in a career making a bunch of money that they can just go drop $100, $200 on a complete at any given moment.
So for real. That's definitely solid. Have you ever thought about like expanding into like trucks and wheels, bearings, all that kind of stuff?
I got if things pick up, I have some ideas. I have all the connections and everybody like ready to make stuff happen. I don't want to say what it is, but we got some stuff coming. And it'd be all US made product too.
That's
so
fire.
I have it all ready to go. The only thing I don't have is graphic, but that's the easy work. So minimum order quantities and making sure it like works right is, and make sure there's a demand for it. That's the hardest part, is making sure that the guys want it.
I feel that for sure. How do you feel about like at least I remember when I was a kid and I was skating, we all used to pick on it and shit on it a little bit. How do you feel about like longboards and penny boards and all that other little shit?
So they're great to get around. They
sure.
They got the bigger wheels. They can just go through anything. I remember in high school, we had a lot of guys that were like, oh, we skate, and then they'd be like, oh, cool, let's go skate, and they'd like want to bring the longboard. Like, no, dude, like, no, we're doing some other stuff. Like, you can come hang out if you want, but no, I don't really have a problem with it. Cruiser boards, like penny boards and stuff like that, they're definitely cool. I remember we got in trouble at school for bringing our boards to school. They didn't like it and they didn't fit in our lockers. And so I was like, I'll go buy a fucking penny board and throw that in my locker, and they didn't like that either. And so eventually we just stopped doing it and left it in our cars, or actually at that point we weren't even driving yet, so because I was like freshman year, so we didn't have licenses, so we were skating to school. They were like, well, what are you gonna do about these boards? I'm like, I don't know, figure it out, I guess.
My stupid ass, I remember my first pro board that I ever got was a Death Wish, and it was they had this Death Wish that was like bandana print, and I'm in no way gang related to anything, you know what I'm saying? I got nothing to do with anything street. But I bought the blue bandana board like a dumbass when I was like 16. And I remember I used to skate to South High on that every day. And I would get in trouble for even having my board. And I remember almost getting suspended because it was a blue bandana one day. And they really got on my ass about that. In reality, bro, I'm just a little skater white boy. I had nothing to do with any of that shit. I was like, man, I thought it was a cool board. I liked Death Wish because I used to play the skate games. And that's what I would use on there. But it was cool. What was your first like pro board growing up?
It was okay, so I'll give you two answers. The first one was like a generic girl complete. So it was like girl trucks, girl wheels. I got it for my birthday. I was like 7 or 8. But then like the first board that I went and picked out was a black label.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I think it was
fire.
just a team board, but it was just I still have it.
Yeah.
I actually never skated. I like the graphics so much. I never skated it.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
still in my garage, dude. I have it. It's crazy.
Hell yeah. I have a classic, like the red almost with just the classic
Oh, yeah.
letters on it that I bought when I was a kid because I used to be big into Rodney Mullen.
Yeah.
Same shit. I've never skated it. It's just fresh.
Yeah.
Hang it on my wall one day. Yeah, for sure. Was there ever like a cool moment with the Forsaken brand that you like, damn, I'm doing this. You know what I mean?
I think when I shipped off my first board out of state,
Yeah, that's cool.
I sent a
Yeah.
board to Texas and to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then I had I gave a bunch of stickers to Mowgli. He came through one time. He's on YouTube, and
Yeah.
we had an event up here, and he showed up, and I gave him a bunch of stickers, and he came over and he chatted with me. That was pretty dope.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It's been pretty slow, kind of getting started and everything. But
Yeah.
when I got my first order, it was like, oh my god, this is real.
Yeah.
Especially when the shops started like wanting to carry my stuff.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah,
cool
for
because
sure.
it was like, okay, something's happening here. Like if
Yeah.
it, you know, if it eventually like all just crumbles and falls apart, I was like, well, at least I had my boards in multiple states and
Yeah.
in some skate shops. At least I can say like I gave it a full go.
Yeah, yeah, that's sick. Man, I think when I was skating, I don't know that maybe I just wasn't tapped in with the right people and didn't know, but I don't think there was any brands really doing what you're doing. I don't think there was any local stuff going on like that.
Just the local board shops for the most part.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy, he did free state skateboards when I was like 15, 16 years old. He was doing that. They were hand painted. His name's Adrian. He's good. He's still out skating and
Yeah.
everything. I see his videos like every day. He was doing that for a while, and then beyond that, it was just like local shops doing
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. When you were growing up skating, did your family encourage it? I mean, you said your dad skated, so it's probably pretty.
Well, my dad, he died when I was a kid.
Okay.
But like, so I was kind of involved because it was just kind of like what he did, and so I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
gotta do what my dad did.
Yeah.
But my mom, she wasn't really against it or for it. It was
Yeah.
more like just go do something, do
Yeah,
something
yeah,
outside.
for sure. Yeah, that's kind of how my
Um,
mom was with it. Yeah.
And then she'd take me to the skate park and stuff, and like on my birthday, she like let me go get a new board or whatever, go to the skate shop, do stuff like that. But
Yeah.
no, it wasn't. And I traveled a lot growing up, and so I'd take my board everywhere. And she would, if we were out somewhere, different state, we'd find a skate spot and go do that. So I mean, she was pretty supportive of it in that way, but
Hell yeah.
nothing crazy like some of the guys you hear that are like parents push them downstairs at like 3 years old, like
Yeah,
going
yeah.
crazy,
Yeah. I think my mom always like supported. My dad hated that I used to skate, but my mom always supported it when I was a little kid, but she took me to a skate park one time. You know that skate park in Park City?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went up there one time and they got the half pipe and then there's the little like side one.
Yeah.
I went up the side of the half pipe. I had to be probably 14, 15 years old at the time. I went up the side of that half pipe and like lost my footing, fell on the ground, and just worst possible luck. The board comes down and smacks me in my head, and I sliced my head open.
Yeah.
And from then on, I don't think my mom was down to take me nowhere.
Yeah.
She was like, you got to do that shit on your own time.
I was at Edgemore.
Yeah.
And dude, we were doing like a train kind of deal, like going up the wall and everything. And then a dude like went the opposite direction. And then like he came right at me and I slid out and his board popped up and it domed me right here, stitches, everything. And I remember I was there with a bunch of guys. My mom was in the parking lot, just in her car, just chilling, and while I was skating. And then I walk over and she sees me. She's like, "Oh," she told me, she's like, "I thought you were gonna come ask if you could go somewhere else." And then there's blood all over your face, and then went to the hospital. And got
it
a
can
bunch
be
of
a
stitches.
brutal ass sport, man,
Yeah.
for real. I remember this was more just stupidity. It had nothing to do with
Yeah.
skating. It was just me being a dumbass on a board. But I remember one time, like, had to be like sophomore year in high school. I used to run a YouTube channel with my homie Dalton, and we would just do dumb like Jackass kind of stuff.
Yeah.
While we were skating, we used to watch Jackass growing up,
Oh, yeah.
and just started doing little like skits and dumb shit on camera. And at one point, we were playing the skate game, and you know how you could like attach to the back of a car on the
Yeah.
game? I don't know why we thought that was a good idea to try it
Yeah.
out in person. And I was in the South High parking lot, and he gunned it, and I'm holding on to the back of his truck, and I must have got speed wobbles or some type of bullshit, and I lost the board from under me, and I was still hanging on because I didn't want to fall, and I just scraped the shit out of the bottom of my feet. Shoes came off, feet were bleeding. That shit was horrible. That was like one of the worst things I've ever been through.
Yeah.
Fucking 2-3 weeks of just no skin on the bottom of my feet. That shit was rough. Yeah. But man, what's the process like of getting your boards in skate shops?
The biggest pain in my ass.
Yeah.
No, a lot of skate shops, they struggle themselves because a lot of times they're ran by skaters.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so it's hard to get a new brand into a skate shop that's not super well known.
Yeah.
But really, what I do is I just call them. I
Yeah.
just call them. I tell them who I am, what I'm doing, and then usually they say, "Well, send me an email with your graphics and all your information." And then, if they're down for it, then they place an order. If they're not, then they ghost
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, hell yeah. I feel like if you're a local skater, it's you should be trying to support the local brands like this, because even if like if you were to blow up and this thing becomes huge, you're gonna bring so many eyes to the Wichita skate scene.
That's the
You know
goal.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Is there's so much going on in the skate world.
Yeah.
But nothing's happening around here.
Yeah.
I mean, not compared to California.
Right. Right.
And there's so many good dudes out here that skate, and,
Yeah.
and not even just in the Wichita area. I mean, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Missouri, like flyover country.
Yeah.
There's dudes out there that just don't get the love, they don't get the support that they deserve. And if there was, kind of more of a central hub for some skateboarding,
Yeah.
whether that's a bunch of brands get together and we kind of make something big here or whatever, it's needed. And I want to support the local dudes because growing up there was so many guys that had to leave to go to like California or a bigger
Yeah.
city to get noticed by anything. And I don't think that should have to happen. You shouldn't have to, like, if you want to, sure, go ahead, but if you
Yeah.
shouldn't have to leave your family and your friends behind to chase a dream.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't have to do that. You
Yeah.
know? If that's part of the game, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's the goal, is to like make something big here. And I try to support everyone that supports me. Try to keep everybody equal. If you buy my boards or you buy my shirt or whatever, I'm gonna support you. It doesn't mean, and I think all companies should do that.
Yeah.
Like if you're working hard and you give a company your money and they don't even like acknowledge your existence, I feel that's kind of shitty.
Yeah. That's
You know what I
crazy.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I hate that, man. Like I tell you, like some of my friends that I have now, I met them through their brands. Like they have t-shirt brand or whatever, and I'll buy their stuff and I'll post a picture of it, or I'll just hit them
Yeah.
up and say, hey man, I really like the shirt or whatever I bought, and they respond to me. And then we have conversations. Now we're decent friends or acquaintances, and that, like, one of the guys, for instance, helped me build my website.
Yeah.
And it was a dude that I met on Instagram because I liked his t-shirts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Hell
then
yeah.
and he just responded to me, and he has like 100,000 followers and everything. He's crazy big. And if he wouldn't have ever responded to me, I might not have ever bought another shirt.
Yeah.
Even if it's cool, you know what I mean? Like it changes
yeah.
you change your perspective on a company. It gives you like more personability.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. You guys got a great fucking website too, by the way.
You like
I was
that?
looking at that earlier. Yeah, it's a solid ass website.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm just a retard that makes does stuff. I just
Yeah.
figured it out. Chat GPT helps a lot, and
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah, I feel that. What's first off, do you have any skaters that you guys sponsor?
Yeah, so I got Tyler. He's
Okay.
out in Hutch,
Yeah.
and we're like kind of on flow, so we're pretty small right now. So I don't have anything huge, but I give him some boards and
Yeah.
some shirts, some stickers, whatever he needs. I try to help him out. And we're trying to get a couple more guys on. But my biggest thing is, like, I don't want to sponsor dudes that don't want to put in the work, and you don't want to
Right.
they just want free stuff. That's half the game is getting free stuff. The other half is going
Yeah.
out skating, being a good dude, and
Yeah.
putting out videos, stuff like that. So
Yeah. I was gonna say the video seems like a major key. If you get in a free board, you got no excuse but to get your ass out there with a camera and advertise that board.
yeah, exactly. And it's a lot about if I don't sell boards,
Yeah.
I don't have the money to get more boards to give to you for free.
Yeah.
And
right.
it's like it's a shitty thing that it's like, I want to give all my boards away to these dudes that are really good.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if I do that, then I can't buy more boards.
Right,
and,
right.
And then to give you more boards. So like it kind of sucks.
Yeah, I feel that. Is there any really good skaters that are slept on in the city that people should kind of look out for? I don't know too much about the scene right now.
So it's really hard to say slept on, because
Yeah.
if you say slept on in the Wichita area, like, a lot of people get good recognition locally.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
But I think more like on a regional or like national level.
Yeah.
Like Dusty, he's really good.
Okay.
He's kind of from this area, and he's always putting out bangers, dude.
Yeah.
His Instagram's going crazy. And then like Josiah, he's really good. There's a lot of good dudes
Yeah.
out there.
Hell yeah.
And I, like, that's what I'm saying, is these guys, they need somebody to recognize them.
Yeah.
outside of, just kind of the local area.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of part of starting the brand is like, hey, I can help you get further, whoever it is.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of part of my goal with this podcast is not only to like obviously put eyes on the guest, but also like I have on a little bit of everybody. I'll have on local companies, local athletes, local musicians, whatever. And I feel like we can all really kind of gain from linking up. You know what I'm saying? Like everything from literally, if you shoot a local skate park and you throw a local song in the background, like that's great for the local musician. We just gained all these eyes. Same way of like, if I shoot a music video, like I just shot a couple music videos up at City recently, and I really wish I would have been able to like tap in with the skate scene before to have local skaters in the background. Just little shit like that, because then I could drop that music video and be like, look at all these dope ass local skaters and tag them and everything.
Yeah.
Just little shit like that I feel like would be really cool if we just all started to like link up and grow together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy. Like when I was growing up, and it may be just because I'm an adult now and I got, a full-time job. But I remember growing up, like it was a better community. There was a lot of, people were always supporting each other. The shops were always out doing stuff, and they do stuff now and everything, but it just seems like it's a little bit different now.
Yeah.
And I feel like we need to get back to a better community, and that's really what it is. Like we are a brand, but I want to be more of a community-based thing than anything else. I want to grow the scene. I want to grow the area. I want to help the dudes that just get overlooked.
Yeah.
It's really what it's about. Yeah, it's linking up, and like if we put out a video, I like to get with local bands to use their song in our video. Like exactly what you're saying. It's like kind of the same deal as helping each other out, tagging them.
Yeah.
Like that's why I the graphic designer, like I give him money, but I'm still gonna shout him out because he needs extra work, and he does good work, and he's a good dude, and I've known him my entire life. We played football together when we were kids.
Yeah.
And so just like shouting people out is just simple. It's the easy way to help somebody.
Yeah, yeah. How do sponsorships typically work with local skaters? Like, is it just kind of like an advertisement for free product kind of thing?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I give you some, for me at least, what I do is I give you product, and then you go out skate, tell people about the brand, push it, try to get some stuff on Instagram going or wherever you're at, YouTube. It doesn't, whatever, any eyes are good eyes kind of thing. But like skate shops, they do it a little differently. It's relatively the same, but it's, just support the shop. And that's the thing is like, we're not a skate shop. We're a brand. So like we work with the skate shops, and we're not trying to compete with anybody like that. We're trying to work together to make this better for everybody. So so sponsorships, that's another tricky thing is, having a really good shop like Kerosene in the area that sponsors a lot of guys or helps a lot of guys out. It's hard to sponsor, I don't want to snake anybody. I don't want to go in and pull someone away from them and like kind of ruin a relationship that's already there.
Right.
I don't want to do that, so if somebody wants to come skate for me, I have no issue with that, but I'm not going to steal you away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
feel that for sure. I'm sure it hasn't changed because now today is just even more content heavy. But when I was a kid, it seemed like the main way to like make it as a skater was just content, just filming street parts and all types of shit like that. Is it still kind of the same thing in today's climate? I know there's like competitions and stuff going on in the city sometimes too, little events.
Yeah, so Instagram is like the biggest way that people get out there now. YouTube and Instagram. I feel like Instagram's easier because it's mindless scrolling.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you can get like short, one or two tricks in front of somebody's eyes like really fast.
Yeah.
YouTube, puts out a lot of your like longer full videos out that way. But content is really where it's at now. Yeah, back in the day it was like, you had to go to a big skate competition to get noticed and then send in a sponsor me video to a big company.
That's what I was going to say is even when I was a kid, like we were definitely doing the YouTube videos and that type of stuff, but it was more about like filming a video and literally sending it to the company. Hey, sponsor me. I'm using your brand. I fuck with y'all.
Yeah.
And I was kind of wondering if it was still like that or if it was really just more content driven.
Yeah, so I know some companies really focus on just finding dudes that have a lot of followers.
Yeah.
Because then that's like really easy marketing for them.
Yeah.
I call me old school, I guess. But yeah, I prefer like send me a tape.
Yeah.
I think that's cool as shit.
Yeah.
Like that's the way to do it, man. Like if you have a good Instagram, that's a bonus, right? But if you put in the time to like sit down and like make and edit a street video and you send it to me, I'm going to be more hyped on that and like wanting to sponsor you over somebody that just sent me a shitload of Instagram clips.
Yeah.
Because like you didn't give a shit. Like you just wanted free product. Like somebody that put the time to slap together a good video and like, took 3 or 4 months to really get some good tricks in there for 1-2 minute video.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's dedication.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. And I'll say this: if you do all that work and you put in a sponsoring video, and somebody sends me, 2 guys send me the videos, one's like a bunch of Instagram clips, and somebody sends that video. If the other dude that has the Instagram clips is way better,
yeah,
I would much rather sponsor the dude that has the dedication.
Yeah,
because there's a lot more to it than just how good of a skateboarder you are.
Right. Yeah, and with that dedication, there's unlimited growth.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. That's kind of the coolest part about skateboarding to me, at least when I was a kid, is that this is really just like you have your homies around you and shit, and they pump you up, they help you learn shit like that, but it's really a one-man sport. There's no excuse. There's no like, I got to wait for the football game. I got to wait for the fight. I got to do this. I got to do that. You can get your ass outside on a board at all times and go.
If it ain't raining, just get out there and fucking go.
Yeah, real shit. Shit, I even remember I had a super, super old waterlogged shitty board. I used to skate in the rain when I felt like it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I lit a board on fire.
Don't recommend that because it can get expensive to just waste boards, but yeah.
We had an old board and we lit it on fire and I did a kickflip with it on fire.
Yeah.
All kinds. So I had a flat bar and we put lighter fluid on it and lit that bitch. And I did like a board slide through it. All kinds of stuff.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Did all kinds of stuff. That's the kind of videos I used to make. It was just cool shit. You know, something that was different. It wasn't necessarily the coolest tricks or whatever, but it was fun.
Yeah, for sure. I know there's like events and competitions and shit like that going on in the city. What's the process of that type of shit?
So usually like Kerosene or a local skate shop will kind of do most of the work for it. Every city has their own rules of how to do it. So we were talking to the city of Augusta, trying to figure out how to make a legit event with like food trucks and a DJ and everybody and have a big thing out here. And it's like, they want you to have insurance. They want to know how many people are going to be here. They want to know all the businesses. You have to get permits and sometimes licenses. Some cities will just tell you no. They just don't want that. Wichita, from what I understand, Wichita's pretty simple. You just do it, and they just kind of don't worry about it. Yeah. And they just kind of look the other way. But growing up, I don't remember. Do you remember Well Done Skate Shop? They were like...
Sounds familiar.
Like early 2010s.
Okay.
And they were putting on some really good stuff, and they worked with the city, and they had vendors, they had music, they had everything, food trucks, anything and everything. It was there, and those were some really, really big events that were happening in Wichita. Yeah. And then when they went out of business, a lot of those big events kind of died. Yeah. And I really like to see that stuff come back, because that was like monumental for me, being a little kid going to these events, seeing these dudes from all over the place coming down.
Man, I remember I had to be like 16 at the time. I remember the Bones team came to City one time, and that was a fucking crazy experience for me. Because that was back when, like I said, this was 10 years ago. There wasn't too crazy of a scene. So I remember that being so motivating, going to City and being like, holy shit, there's 10 pros here right now. Yeah. Like that shit really put a drive in me back then.
Yeah, see, like that's another thing is we don't have like demos and stuff come through very often anymore. And like that stuff needs to come back. I mean, growing up skating and watching like all the old skate videos, it was mostly them traveling around, just like doing whatever, going to different street spots, skate parks, having these events. Yeah. I grew up a little bit in Seattle, and so there wasn't a whole lot, but there was always something going on. It was crazy. It's a weird dynamic, and we don't have that here, and there needs to be more of it.
Yeah, for sure. Who were some of your favorite skaters, either growing up or now?
So growing up, Chris Cole.
Okay.
He was my guy. Right now, I really like Jocelyn. Okay. I've kind of like, he's been around. He's not much older than us. He's like 28.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's not that old.
That's a name that's been around for so fucking long.
Yeah, he's not that old.
Yeah, he must have been young as hell when he started.
But I've been watching a lot of his stuff, and I watch Street League when it's on, and he's always getting robbed. And I think he's just a gnarly dude, and I really like his style. I like the tricks that he does. Yeah. He does stuff different because a lot of the guys out there right now, like a lot of like the Japanese guys, they do like really technical, crazy tricks. Jocelyn just goes big. And I like that's the kind of skateboarding I grew up watching was just like big gaps, big jumps, whatever. And he does big stuff, and that's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. What are some of your do you have any like favorite skate spots around the Wichita area that you go to?
I don't really skate a lot in Wichita anymore. Okay. I never really skated a lot in Wichita, but here I got all the spots. So there's a bunch of stair sets around here. There's a big mani pad just right
Okay.
down the road. Whenever I used to skate street in Wichita, I would kind of go downtown,
Yeah.
kind of like by Century 2.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
that area, like there's a lot of skate stuff going on
Hell
down
yeah.
there. But other than that, no, I didn't really skate a lot in Wichita.
Man, I don't know if it's still there, but I remember back in the day. It's probably not there anymore. It's been so fucking long. But I remember when I was a teenager, there was a skate shop right on the other side of city where those buildings are.
Oh,
They had like a half pipe in there and shit. That shit was so sick.
was it like right like off the highway?
Yeah,
Like so
yeah.
with that little curve, and
Yeah,
it's like turned into
hell
like
yeah.
a used car lot.
Yeah, that shit
Yeah.
was sick, man. I miss that spot. I don't know
Yeah.
if they're still up there. Probably
Nope.
not.
It
Yeah.
was they closed down, and then it was like a used car lot, and now I think it's an abandoned building.
Man, yeah, that shit was sick, bro. An indoor skate park was a game changer. We used to go up there all the time when it was raining. That shit was so cool. Yeah, man. What's what first off, what advice would you give to somebody who's trying to do what you're doing and start up their own skate brand?
Don't spend a bunch of money.
Okay.
Don't buy like the max amount of product. If you can get the minimum, do the minimum.
Yeah.
It's really hard to move product. It's hard to get your name out there. It's hard to do those things, and it costs a lot of money. If I were to go
Yeah.
back, I would have bought less boards and really tried to get them sold faster that
Yeah.
way. And then once I got that kind of backing, then buy more boards.
Okay.
So like if the minimum order is like 50, buy 50. Don't
Yeah.
buy 100. Don't buy 200. Just buy 50. Because
Yeah.
if you sell out, that's a good thing. You know, you don't want to be like waiting on product.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you are sitting on inventory, it sucks because then you have to look at it and you're
Yeah.
like, man, this sucks.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like it's kind of the same way with us musicians trying to sell merch. I see a lot of local musicians buy just a shit ton of shirts and then struggle to sell them.
Yeah.
And it can kind of be a punch to their ego, but it's just the reality of it is, and it's the same way with me. They don't know you yet.
Yeah.
Like you still have to build that name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to build your fan base. So
Yeah, that's been the struggle is getting out there and
Yeah.
then having such a good shops out there like Street Skins and
Yeah.
Kerosene that they're loyal guys.
Yeah.
That's why I was like I gotta get my boards in there because that's where they're at and they've sold pretty good in there.
Hell yeah.
I know Street Skins. He's placed a couple orders with me and I've had a couple orders. I have one order with Kerosene and dropped off some decks with them and.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope to keep growing with them and some other shops in the area.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna tap in and buy a deck so I can hang it on my wall when I get this crib.
Yeah, just hit me up.
Yeah, we're trying to buy a house right now. My goal is when I get into this place, I'm gonna have like either a room or the basement, whatever the fuck I end up in. I'm gonna dedicate a room for the podcast. I'm gonna have just everything behind me is just gonna be local shit. You're just gonna see a ton of local merch, flyers, stickers, whatever the fuck I can come up with. I
Yeah.
think that shit would be dope. Yeah. Man, have you ever had any like bad injuries skating?
The worst one was my head.
Okay, yeah.
I took a board to the face.
Yeah.
Um,
That shit sucks.
yeah.
I've dealt with that.
A lot
That
of
shit
road
sucks.
rash. A lot of.
Yeah.
I've never really broken a bone. I've sprained a lot of things. I've
Yeah.
had to take some time off. But nothing crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fucking miracle, man, because it's rough. I done seen some shit a
Yeah,
few times.
it's scary. I've come close a lot of times.
Yeah.
My ankles and my knees and
It's kind of crazy because I've been around skateboarding since I was a little kid, and same with martial arts. I don't do it, but I've been around a lot of martial artists my whole life. And when you're around sports like that are so fucking brutal, you almost get kind of like numb to that type of shit.
Yeah.
Like I remember when we were teenagers, I had a friend who first off, I dislocated my shoulder, but it was work related when I was like 17, and I had surgery on it. And I had a friend who dislocated his skating at like the same time. I remember every time we would go to the skate park, this fucker would fall down and have his arm back here, and I'd have to like yank it back in place for
Yeah.
him. That shit was crazy. Looking back, damn, we should not have did that, bro. Go to the doctor.
Yeah, no.
The fuck? Yeah. Man, I think I'm running out of questions, man. I think that's about it. Anything else you want to talk about or say to the people?
Yeah, support local.
Hell yeah.
You gotta if you want to see stuff, grow in the area and you want to have a brand that supports you, you gotta support them as well.
Yeah.
It's a struggle out there. Everybody's struggling for money. Everybody's
For sure.
gotta you can't spend a bunch of money on everything you want, but
Yeah.
if you're able to, we appreciate it and it helps give our guys that we sponsor boards, helps give them shirts, whatever. And if you don't skate, we got shirts.
Yeah.
And you check them out. And some of my buddies bought my boards and they hang them on their wall.
Yeah.
They just do
Hell
whatever.
yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. We're trying to make stuff happen. We want to
Yeah.
we want to grow the scene. We want to be involved, and we try to go to every event that's out there. We're trying to grow it.
Hell yeah. Man, definitely hit me up anytime there's like events or anything going on, man. I'll pull up with the camera, and if nothing else, I'll just film some shit, take some pictures, stuff like that. Hell yeah. I've been wanting to get back into the skating scene. Not to skate myself. I'm a little old and out of shape for that shit, I feel like.
Just cruise around, man.
Yeah, just cruise around and kind of see what's going on, because I know there's some crazy talent. I've been following everybody on Instagram, and some dope-ass skaters going on.
Yeah, there's some good stuff going on. Hit me up, man. I'll get you aboard.
For sure. Yeah, man, I appreciate you sitting down with me. I like to close every episode with pretty much the same question for anybody who's from around here. So it can technically be Augusta. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be Wichita. But put people onto some local spots. It could be literally anything from where you get your clothes, food, tattoos, skate shit, literally anything.
Oh, that's a good one. I'll give you my favorite restaurant in Wichita right now.
Okay.
Tuptum Thai. It's over by Best Buy.
Okay. I don't think I've ever had that.
On Rock Road.
Yeah.
And 21st and Rock.
Yeah.
It's my favorite spot to eat right now.
Okay.
It's a good curry.
Yeah, I'm
really
gonna
good
have to
curry.
try it out. Yeah. I've been doing food reviews and shit lately. I'll pull up and do one.
It's a good one. Yeah, they're the red curry. It's good.
Okay.
It's good shit. But and then obviously support your local shops.
Yeah.
Go to Kerosene, go to Street Skins, give them your money, buy my boards.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man, I think that's about it. I appreciate you for sitting down with me, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. Appreciate y'all for watching.